Hello, welcome everybody to another episode of the 16th World Wushu Championship show. I'm your host, Roger, and my guest today is Kevin Law. Kevin Law is a recertified IWUF judge. He is also the operations manager for the USAWKF, the United States of America Wushu Kung Fu Federation. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Kevin's a pretty good friend of mine, so yeah, we don't need to be so formal, but glad to have Kevin on. I think Kevin's going to give us great perspective on, judging, and he's a past athlete too. Many consider him still an athlete doing 720s. How's that going, Kevin? How's the 720 journey?
Journey. Well, I did get it. I don't know, was that last year or the year before? I don't really remember now.
Yeah.
And now maybe I just do it every couple months. Just like, oh, can I still do it? Like, okay, I can.
Ooh, nice.
I don't have to do it for a little bit.
Okay. So you reached the 720 and it's in the bag.
Yeah. I definitely don't focus on it anymore like I did. For maybe about half a year, I was waking up early in the mornings and doing some drills and then doing a lot of repetition, maybe 100 some a week.
Yeah,
I did that for a while, and then finally it paid off. So I don't really need to keep doing that anymore.
awesome. How was the body when you were doing that? Any knee pain? Any back pain?
Yeah, good question. There was once that I had a strain that kept me away from the practice, but other than that, I was able to. It was fine. I think with some of the conditioning that I was doing alongside it, I was able to just keep it up the whole time. And I remember in a seminar with Sun Pei Yuan, someone asked, how often should we practice Nandu? And the surprise answer was every day. So
nice.
I think that's really important to get your body to that point of making everything no big deal. Like you want to do something, you want to jump and kick, it's got to be to the point where it's no big deal, and then you can get to that point of pushing the physicality part of it.
Love that. So no excuses. You don't have to be at a gymnastics place or a wushu school carpet to do your Nandu every day. What do you feel there?
Yeah, I did it in my basement. I only had room for a 3-step takeoff, so that's how I practice most of the time. And then sometimes I would go outside and do 4-step takeoff practice. And it was funny because I was like, oh man, if I had room for 4, I could probably have already done it by now. But then I would go to somewhere where I had room for 4, and I would be disappointed. It didn't translate immediately. So that was kind of a wake-up call. It's like, okay, I really need to improve my technique here. It's not just a limitation of my space.
Got it. What are those conditioning drills you're talking about to help your body?
Like jumping plyo drills, plyometric drills, a lot of squat jumps and weighted squat jumps, different there's like planks, sideways planks with one single raised foot. So working on the adductor there, because when you're doing the 720s, it's really important to keep the legs closed. And actually, it's quite difficult once you start to build up that rotational speed. So you got to build up those muscles on the inner sides to keep the legs close together. And even mine is not that good. Like they could be closer, I think.
Makes sense.
If I were stronger there.
How about the flexibility? Super important to like be as flexible as possible to do it?
I don't think so. I think obviously you need a good amount of flexibility. Like kicking up to your shoulder level should be easy. But in terms of like, do you need to be able to touch your head with your toes, which I can't do, then no, apparently you don't need that.
Okay. Sounds good. And we're talking about the 720 Tornado Kick, right? For you, Kevin?
Yes.
Okay. How about the Tongkong You gonna go the other way?
I've like dabbled in it, and then for a little bit I was getting around 630.
Yeah.
But I never really put the serious effort that I did for the inside. So I might still try it.
Nice.
See.
Awesome. Man, when I try the Tornado Kick, I feel like I'm spinning a lot, and then I'm only doing 540. So I gotta work on it. It's good. It's fun.
It is fun. Yeah. As long as you're having a good time, right?
Yeah, for sure. Kevin, can you talk about your wushu career, being an athlete, teaching? Why did you get into judging? All this stuff to this point?
Wow. Yeah. I've been involved in Kung Fu since I was 11. Well, okay, so I've been practicing since I was 11. And it wasn't even my idea to start. It was my mom's idea to push me to try it. And right from the beginning, I thought, well, I actually love this. Yeah, I was really hesitant at first. I didn't know what to expect. But the moment I was doing any part of it, I really enjoyed it. So it really stuck through my teenage years in high school. I just kept doing it, and it was a good sense of it was a good source of pride for me. It was like something that I could feel proud of myself doing, even though in other areas of my life I wasn't quite so happy with myself, I guess. But anyway, I really loved it. And then did a couple competitions when I was younger, but not a lot. I did a little bit more as an adult, and then I kind of took a long break from any kind of competition. I did start a little bit of judging at that point, like at 2009, and then eventually I kind of got. I don't know where I got the idea, but I thought, well, maybe I'll try competing again one last time. So I did the team trials again in 2015. Didn't go so well, and then 2017 was like a little bit better, but still not great. And then my last competition was 2018 at the Pan American Wushu Championships in Argentina. But since then, I've been judging pretty consistently almost every year, except for the years that I was competing, and also judging some local competitions too, like the ones held by University of Maryland's Wushu Club, which is a big one now on the East Coast. That's a lot of fun. I've been doing that every year since 2009. I think judging is really important because without judges, there are no competitions. And not that we think everyone should compete, but competition is a great source for motivation for some people. So really important to have to keep the Wushu community motivated and also together. The only time I see you is at a competition. So without competitions, we wouldn't have these large gatherings, and it's I think they're so good because you get all these people together that all love Wushu. They might all have other kinds of different interests, but bam, that's that one thing that connects us all together.
For sure.
So we should get together for that.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. That was a great intro. So talk about your journey on like specifically judging. Was it Pan American region, then IWUF, and then recertification? Can you talk through that process?
Yeah, my first judges course was in 2014 in Massachusetts. That was hosted by board member Molly Kao when she hosted the Taiji team trial that year in 2014. So that was my first course. Up until then, I was like reviewing the rules by myself and judging at local competitions where certification isn't required. But then finally, I took that step in 2014 to do that course. And then my first team trial was that I judged at was 2016. And then 2017, I competed, so I didn't judge that year. 2018 was when I got my first IWF certification. We were lucky because Coach Ian Lee in Lubbock, hosted a judges course. So instead of having to go to somewhere abroad, we could just go to Texas and some of us were able to get IWF certification there. For those of you that don't know, each year, each country is allowed only 5 new taolu judges and 5 new sanda judges. So luckily, I was one of the 5 picked that year.
Okay. Are the recertifications included in that 5 or?
No, you can.
Okay.
Each country has unlimited recertifications, but
nice.
5 new certifications.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So that's why in Egypt we just had a new certification, and there were 17 of us, I believe. So there were 3 new taolu judges, 2 new sanda judges, and then that means 12 recertifying.
Nice. Awesome. Let's get to some of these audience questions for judging. Kevin, what is the most important thing in good taolu when you're watching it or judging it?
Oh, interesting. The most important thing, I think is a big balance between physical ability and display of martial techniques. Unfortunately, I think lately, maybe the physical ability, it's easy for that to take, for that to win out. I think if you have two different people, one is like really super fast, really exciting, it's easy for them to automatically get a higher score, even if their technique is not quite as good. So I guess maybe you could say physical ability is maybe number 1 if you look at our history. And I think that's also the biggest where the biggest gap comes from of top athletes to the lowest athletes. Our lower scoring athletes could do a lot of work in developing their physical ability, their athleticism.
Makes sense. You saying hit the gym? Do box gym?
Maybe not hit the gym.
Yeah.
Definitely. We need some resistance training. I think you can get away with a lot of body weight drills and conditioning, as long as they're right. And but of course, huge level of huge number of basics.
Love that. All right. How much having the C jump in stage form is valued in the B grade?
Okay, yeah, this is a great question. How far should we be pushing ourselves for athletes? How far should athletes push themselves to fill their 2 points in their C score? I think when you look at athletes who compete at team trials, they have to do team trials, and then that gets them to international competition. And I think it's really important to build your confidence. So anybody who's starting competition should do all A-level non-do, maybe a couple 1B level, like a 540 outside. Usually, if there's any B level technique, it's probably a 540 outside. And then the rest is just A level. Just build up your confidence and be able to say, yes, I can definitely perform and stick all of my non-do, get my connection points, and fill up that 2.0. After that, then you can consider upping the ante and trying more B level moves and including a C level movement. From a judge's point of view, if you have 2 athletes, their athleticism is the same, their techniques are the same level, you would say, that you could give them the same B score. But you shouldn't really give the same B score. So you need to let someone be higher than the other. Then you have to consider, well, what differences did I see? And if one person had 1 C level movement and the other person had no C level movements, then I guess you kind of have to give it to the person who had the C level movement. So in this case, that is when the higher level non-do is is a good idea. But I would say like if you look at even our the US team athletes, most of the non-do is A level. I'm sorry, if you look at the A team performances, most of the non-do is A level. There's some B level stuff in there too. And then you have people who go really far and they say like, well, right off the bat, this is my first competition, my first team trial. I'm gonna try some C level movement, and then they don't get it. They don't have enough experience to get those points. Even though in other ways they have comparable ability to some of the higher level athletes, but unfortunately they're nowhere. They can't get there because they didn't get the C level movements. They didn't get those 0.5 points. So that's a huge deficit that they now have. So that's why I say it's really important. Just compete, get your full 2 first, and then develop the B or the C level.
Great advice.
Now, you can always practice it outside of competition, but when it's competition time, then really get it solid. And I can say that from personal experience. I did 2, or I would say my second team trial was in 2015, and I did what did I do? I included a 540 tornado when I didn't really need to. Unfortunately, I bounced on the landing, so I didn't get the connection point. I think I did get the rotation. And so that meant I didn't get the connection, so that's 0.15, and then I hopped on the horse stance, so that's a 0.1 deduction there. So that's 0.25 that I didn't get. And I didn't need it, so I don't know why. I just thought like, oh, it would be really cool if I had it. So in that case, that's a good example of where I took a risk for no reason.
Got it.
And I wasn't experienced enough to take that risk.
Yeah. Awesome. Kevin, we want to get into this question about personal bias, but before getting into that, I know you're an athlete and then you coach too, and you're a judge. I kind of feel the same way. But like, I feel like sometimes we need to choose what we're going to be or what we're going to do. I don't know if you have thoughts like, can you be a coach and be a judge and not have bias? Can you be an athlete and judge? Of course, it'd be great if you're a judge and a coach because you could help your students, but do you have any takes on all that interwebbing?
Well, first I'll talk from my personal experience and what I try to do, which is when I watch someone perform and I'm judging them, then I try to act like this person is a total stranger to me. So whatever history I have with them, or that I know their coach, or that I haven't interacted with them, but I know I've seen them before. I remember them from previous competitions. I try to forget it all and then just watch what I'm being presented. And I try to evaluate the movements, not the person, or not the connection I have with the person. So evaluate the movements. See what I see here, see what's presented in front of me, and then give that a score. So can someone who's a coach do that with their student? Yes. Can we guarantee that they'll do it? No. And so that's a difficult part. And Wushu, we have a small community. So the judge pool that we have to rely on, a lot of them are coaches, and so we really have to be selective of who the judges are, especially on something like a team trial, because team trials are so important in the US because it's a step towards something else. I think not that other competitions are less important, or like even the World Wushu Championships, there's nothing past that. So like you get to it, and then whatever's the result, it's like, okay, well, that's what happened. But the team trials is always so can be so contentious and so so much emotion behind it because they're trying to get somewhere else. So if you stop them at that point, then they feel it's easy for someone to feel robbed. And then there's serious questions on, well, were my athletes or was my child judged fairly? It definitely comes up a lot. I think it is hard to judge appropriately your own students, and less so I think your friends. I think your students is because you're always working with them, and yeah, you want them to do your best. So it's harder. I think some people can handle that. Some people.
How about the athlete and judge combo? Can you be both an athlete and a judge?
Yeah, I don't see anything with that.
Yeah.
I think then your only issues are you have friends who then can you judge them fairly? But I don't think there's anything wrong with athlete judge. But I will say that if you're a judge, it's good to make sure that you really know the rules. So if your own training pulls your attention away enough that maybe your role as a judge could be harmed, then that's an issue, I guess.
Makes sense. Nice. Thanks, Kevin. How should we practice judging for us who are certified? Can I make it, I guess, in your federation or for the IWUF?
I think relying on videos of previous performances is really helpful. Just keeping the eye fresh on looking for things. Like if you know you need to look for hand techniques, you need to look for proper stance criteria, then you don't have a lot of time to make those decisions. So it's really helpful to stay fresh on that and to keep the eye quick. And then also you got to know those numbers, all those deduction codes and the C codes. If you're not able to like just instantly call them out, then that's an issue. So watching videos all the time can help that, I think.
Nice.
And also as a coach, I think every once in a while it's helpful to act like, oh, if I were judging, what would I do? What would I give this person? What deductions would I give this person? And that's really for the student because they need to fix that anyway. So if you watch with that kind of focus, then that's another way to stay fresh.
For sure. That's kind of what I do in Portland. I kind of have these internal competitions for my students, and I give them.
Oh, good.
I invite somebody to do a B score, like some other wushu person, and then I'm doing their deductions. But yeah, after the tournament, it's always like, what were my A deductions? I feel like that's the one you could control. The B score is kind of hard to control.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you feel about that? I know a lot of the British athletes, they're like, just take care of your A score and your C score. Can't really control your B score, but you could take care of the A and C.
I think you can take care of all of it. You have to, otherwise, what are you doing there?
Yeah.
But for sure, if you talk about priority, then yes, you should make sure you have first a deductionless performance. Second, your non-due, and then finally third, your B. Because I think everything that you need to get in your A score is actually not that difficult. You just have to remember or have done enough repetition of it. But things like developing your athleticism and developing your ability to display your wushu knowledge, that of course that's harder and will take more time.
Got it. How do you not get fatigued watching the 10th, the 20th, the 50th athlete in Changchun?
Yeah, when we had the U.S. team trials in May, that happened, right? Because we had 50 athletes in male Changchun, and that's when we're starting it, it's very interesting because you know it's going to take 3 hours. So it's like you're about to get into a car and drive, 200 miles away, but actually you're just going to sit in the same spot, not move anywhere, and watch a ton of wushu. I think I think we all surprised ourselves after it was done. Uh, when we're first entering it, we're like, "Oh my god, what's gonna happen?" Like, okay, this is it. We're gonna start. We're not gonna get up from this chair, and we're just gonna do the whole thing. And then after it was over, it was like, "But we did it.
Yeah,
I guess it wasn't that bad." I think that you once you get into, and you hear about this in other activities or other things, you just get into that groove, and then we keep going. All right, next person, do it. Next person. Uh, yeah, it ended up being not as bad. It was a surprise.
for sure.
But I think of course experience plays in that too. I think if it's like your first competition you're judging, you had that would be really hard. And that's also so hard for the B judges.
Oh, I know, right?
I think, yeah, for the B judges, a division like that is so hard because you have to consider everybody else um, that has already gone. And you have to be quick. You got to put in that score, in 15, 30 seconds. So when people are so quick to complain about judging, and I understand that you can have complaints. I'm not saying you shouldn't have complaints, um, but I also ask them to just to try to consider what's happening and how difficult it is.
For sure. Yeah, I remember like judging at a junior team trials years ago. It was like the B score. There's a lot of kids. You gotta
A lot
remember
of
the
kids,
first
yep,
and
a
the
lot of
last
kids,
kid. And
a lot
how
of
are you
kids,
gonna
and a lot of them look the same, right?
yeah, how are you gonna space them out like the decimal points and all this stuff? Yeah, it's good though.
It's really hard.
Yeah. Speaking of 50 athletes in Chongquan, do you think there should be some kind of preliminary events so we're not having 50? You have your top 10 or something?
Yes, I do. Um, how does that affect competition and the community in the US? Not
Mm,
really sure.
yeah,
Uh, I think right now we're at the state of, and still in the state of, well, we need to include everybody that we can. And I think with our desire of running professional events that people feel happy to participate in, I think that number has to, that number does have to come down. So yeah, there does need to be some sort of qualifier, but what's the best way? I'm not sure what are the best ways to do that. And I think there are a lot of things being considered right now. It's definitely something that the USAWKF is thinking about and trying to figure out how to give everybody a good event um, that they feel happy participating in.
for sure. This is a fun topic. Maybe you and I just could just
Mm-hmm.
talk. What happens if there's like
Yeah.
qualifying tournaments, Golden State, and maybe you have something like the University Games. Like you score 8.0 there, you maybe qualified or something.
Yeah. I think the thing that scares me the most about things like that is uh, let's say you have 10, like the top 10 people are all on this, are all from the same region, but only some of them get to go because you have a limit from your qualifier to your main one.
Yeah,
Um, then I think that's a shame.
for sure.
So it should be those top 10 competing against each other. Uh, that's my only concern.
Okay. Then you could do like
Sort
American
of
Idol,
pre-selection.
American Idol style. Like
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
comes.
I mean, it's hard. If you
Yeah,
have trials to get to your team trial, then it's
yeah,
like, well, how many do we need to have?
that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I think
But
about those singing
there could be
competitions.
things like
Yeah.
yeah, I've thought about well, what if you have video submissions
Oh
and
no.
we don't have like a number, yeah, but like we don't have a cap but we can say you must in your video give a deductionless performance, or like or one deduction forgiveness or something like that, you know, then that immediately puts you at a certain tier.
Oh, that's a good one.
And then you can move on from there. And because it's video, that means you can have unlimited tries, right?
Yeah.
So we're not saying that you only get the one try like in competition. Oh, you get unlimited tries, but show us that it's in there somewhere. It's in you that you can give a flawless performance.
Perfect. I actually like that. Of course, no video editing, but yeah.
Yeah, right. I guess with CGI, who knows what can happen, and deep fakes.
Yeah, integrity is a big thing about wushu. We got this. Nice. How you feeling about the 16th World Wushu Championships? You gonna be there?
Be there for sure. Yeah,
Nice.
I definitely want to help and do what I can to make it successful.
Okay.
I think it's really exciting that it's here.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people in my school that they may not know how much of an opportunity this is. We have the World Wushu Championships in our own country, considering that most countries never have that, right? And then for us, we haven't had that for 27 years. And even just on our side of the planet, how often does that happen? It's rare, because most of the time it's in Asia.
Yeah.
So it's a great opportunity here, and it's something so cool to get involved with, and afterwards to be able to say, yeah, like I was a part of that, I helped make it happen. That's such a great thing to be proud of.
Yeah. So I think it's a good time to shout out to all the 16th World Wushu Championship volunteers. A lot of people are working on it. So thank you all. It's good. And also everyone from the USAWKF too. I know USAWKF is like volunteer. It's like a nonprofit, right? So it's all volunteer stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And we could use some more help. So if anyone is interested, we're either helping beforehand or at the actual event, we definitely need you to sign up and let us know that you're available.
Nice. Kevin, I'm just gonna bring this up because I wish this happened, but for me, like I'll definitely be there. Ready, committed. Want to see all my friends there and stuff. That's awesome. All the people I've interviewed over the years. But yeah. I want to bring my students too, but there's this incentive of like, man, that's a long flight to watch a competition. I wish we had some kind of competition for them too, like right before the tournament or something. Some kind of festival for them to compete, and then they could go watch the big show, but it's probably too late in the game for that. But I wish there was some kind of amateur tournament. Yeah.
That's totally that's a great point. I think the work that is required to be done is so great. We couldn't handle doing something like that in addition to it. So
yeah.
Unfortunately, this is it. All you get is the World Wushu Championships.
That's all we get. Sounds good. Yeah. Anyways, everyone.
But it's yes, and even if just being a spectator, you're still supporting. You're paying for your tickets and you're filling the seats, which we want to see. When there's going to be footage of this on the IWF YouTube channel and going through social media, we want to see people in the crowds. But I think people should also remember that seeing top level wushu in person is amazing. It's an amazing experience. And whatever you see on videos, as cool as that can be, it is definitely way cooler in person. And we should all try to take that opportunity.
For sure. The jumps, the power, the speed that you just see in person, it's just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And most likely you don't see that in your own school. As good as your classmates are, they statistically speaking, they're probably not as good as this. So you still want to come and check it out.
Nice. Who are you excited to see in person?
I'm
As
not really
fans, we can be fans right now.
as fans. You can be fans, but I see a lot of people online who are willing to post their stuff. I think that's so neat to just see them in front of me, like, oh, that's how that person walks, or that's
Yeah,
what that person looks like in real life. Um, and then of course to actually see their performance is great. There are so many amazing people.
Mhm.
Uh, of course, anybody from China is exciting to watch.
For
So
sure.
I don't even really know all of them. Like I don't follow their nationals as much, so I don't know who to expect to see.
Yeah,
But of course, when you hear, oh, China's coming up, that's a big, oh, better go see this.
do you think China's going to do that thing where
I'm
they're?
also
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm also excited to see uh, our athletes, how they do this year, because I do think some of our athletes are the best that we've ever had.
Mhm.
So that to me is exciting, um, and it'll be great to see, well, how do they stack up in this international competition.
Feels like we're doing really well. The USA, like medaling and stuff at World Games and the last World Wushu Championships. How do you think?
Mm,
How do you think the US is
yeah,
doing?
I think the U.S. is okay. It'd
Yeah.
be great to see them do more. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. That's hard to ask of us, though. Is like
it
they're
is.
still
Yeah,
kind of recreational. They have jobs and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, or school, right? And
Right.
some of these athletes are young, but
Yeah.
it's true. Yeah, completely recreational, completely a hobby. Um, but as I talked about before, as a judge, no judge is going to consider that.
Yep.
No judge is going to say, "Hey, not bad for someone who just does this on their own time and has a full-time job or is also going to school." No one is going to think about that. So you just got to go out there or beforehand, you have to still just work your butt off and show that you belong, I think.
Nice. Are you a part of any other technical committees or any committees in the USAWKF or anything?
Committees, yes. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm part of the competition and events management committee and the taolu committee,
Okay.
uh, but no technical committee.
Okay. So yeah, we should spell out how to volunteer for the World Wushu Championships if you want to. Kevin, you want to speak to that or me? Like, if you're interested, how do you sign up?
I know that there's a Google Forms that we're collecting all the information in. That way, we have a clear list of who we can contact. So
Mm.
there is that form, which is on the 16th World Wushu website, um, which I think is 16thwwc.org.
Mm. Yep.
And so you can go to that website and then find the link to volunteer. We fill out that form, and then our volunteer coordinator will contact you right away. And yeah, we definitely need the help. So if you're interested, fill that out, please.
Okay. Sounds good. And then final topic, the Pan American Region Kung Fu Championships coming up in Toronto. Are you planning on being there?
I am not. No,
Okay.
I don't usually go to the competitions. Yeah, but um, but I do. As you know, I work on the registration of it. So
Mhm.
any of the international competitions, I work on that registration where the U.S. team members will register with me, and then I work with the organizers to forward that data to them to make sure all of our athletes are entered in correctly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, a lot of people will assume, oh, I'll see you in Canada, or yeah, I'll see you at this thing. But yeah, I'm just working on it. That doesn't mean I'll actually be there.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, I know that's probably a lot of work, Kevin. So thank you so much for doing all that. But
Yeah,
also,
it is a lot. There's always a lot of questions. Like sometimes I wake up and my email inbox has like 50 new emails. Like,
Oh
oh my
man.
gosh, and I gotta try to answer all of them. And then of course collecting the data and moving it on. It's a lot, but it's good. You know, like I said, competitions are vital to the community. So I'm glad to keep it going.
Nice. Yeah, and also thank you for like, I know when people sign up for the membership on the USAWKF, you're on top of it and always turning it around fast. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah, yeah,
I know a
it's
lot of
good.
my,
Yep,
yeah,
it's good to we need that member base. We need it's helpful for us to know, you know, who's out there, where are our members, and you know, because that can help decide where competitions could be, or you know, what kind of events that we make. So,
okay,
and just to, you know, we need the support. You know, everything. There's always a financial component to it. So, yeah, we need to always have to have new members coming in, and it's a great way for everyone to be involved and to stay on top of, you know, news and the new events and whatever's coming up.
for sure. Where would you like to see USA Wushu go, or the USA WKF, like in 10 years? I guess what would be your wish list?
I think it'd be great if we all had some standardized training methods. So I think we have standardized things of what we want to see, you know, which means we all know what our stances are, like bow stance and horse stance. You know, we know what those things are, but we don't know how do we develop them. How do we develop them for children? How do we develop them for adults who are not as flexible or not as strong? Um, and I think that's a hard part for our coaches and teachers around the country. They probably have to develop a lot of those things on their own, or rely on what they went through, which could be good, or it might be, or it might not be as good. So, but if we all had some standardized training methods that are proven to work, then I think that would immediately raise the level of US Wushu. Because as I was saying to you before, I think there is a big gap between our lower athletes and higher level athletes. So if we can raise up the bottom, I think that will help a lot.
Nice. Is that it? That's your main wish? Wait, I could
I
speak.
guess.
Kevin, can I speak to this for a second? Yeah, really quick.
Yeah, I would love to
as
hear.
as as a coach, I struggle with this too. It's like I use belts and it motivates the kids, which is great. But I wish we had more of a standardized curriculum for wushu. I mean, Taekwondo kind of does that, but for me, I'm like, hey, if you want orange belt, you got to do elementary Changchuan, and you got to have like 10 deductions or less or something. And then it gets into like, who's doing elementary Changchuan the best? I mean, who's doing it right? And are we looking at this book? Are we looking at this video? Who has the answer on what that form should be? Stuff like that. So as a coach, I kind of struggle with that stuff. Even with the compulsories, like, what's the right one? And then if that's not agreeing with the judges, then we have a problem because they think that's the right one. And we think this is the right one, stuff like that. But I don't know if you have thoughts on that stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, we all could use more resources. I think there's a lot of relying on institutional knowledge, and not enough on, look, this is what everybody needs to do. You know, like for instance, when the newer taolu rules came out, and they were 2 new deductions for the Southern styles. I'm sorry, not 2 deductions, 2 new connections for the Southern styles, and they're not due. I learned what they were. I learned what they're called. I learned what the number was. I still had no idea what it looked like. we didn't even see a video of it. So I agree. The more resources that we could be given as both athletes and coaches, the better. And I think that's a complaint for a lot of people. If things get too standardized, people think,
oh, true,
we're just doing some watered down thing too. But also at the same time, that's the easiest way to develop everyone as a whole. So I think it is really good to have those resources. And
sure.
if you don't like it, fine, don't use it then, I guess.
Yeah.
But you kind of put yourself at your own risk there.
Well, I'm happy to volunteer and help out in that space if we ever go that route. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think I would love to see. Oh, here's something else that I would love to see.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting people involved with the World Wushu Championships, and with us as organizing. And there are a lot of people that I've never met, that I've never known before. They aren't involved in just regular USAWKF activities. So I think it would be amazing if the WWC pulls all of these people together, really creates this team, and even though we don't have something that that level that we need to work towards again, we can still work together and just bring up the level of US Wushu, because we need the people power. We can't do it with just a few people. So when people say, why don't we have this? Why don't we have these things? Why don't we have more judges? Why don't we have more resources? Well, it's because we don't have a lot of people. So if we can keep all of these people that we're seeing getting involved now, and they continue to help, and then they also bring in people that they know to help, I think that would be great. We know that the Wushu community is filled with really talented people. And we understand that everyone has their own lives and everyone is busy. But if we can all contribute a little bit, this sport that we all love and that we all want to see succeed, I guess whatever that means, that might mean different things to everybody. But then we would love to have you involved.
Nice. All right. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much, Kevin, for coming on the show. It's great talking to you. And
yeah, thank you. You too.
Yeah. See you in Texas. You're going to that competition though, right?
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Appreciate you. Yeah, supporting the upcoming World Wushu Championships in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. So we'll see you all there. All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Yes. Hope to see you all there.
All right.
Thank you.
See ya. Bye.